somebody who has the back of our great Congresswoman, a true patriot, a true America First warrior, all the way from North Florida. Please help me to welcome Congresswoman Kat Cammack. Come on up.
Good afternoon. This is what I love about being with good American patriots. Y'all know how to have a conversation. If I said that to a room full of radical leftists, they would probably scream "Free Palestine" right back at me. Oh, those people are outside, don't worry. But how are y'all doing? No. You guys have one of the best dang congresswomen in America. You have to remember that. How are you doing? I am Congresswoman Kat Cammack, and I represent all of North Central Florida, the Gator Nation. Any Gator fans in here? There's always some in here. Then there's like some Seminole fans. Then the occasional Cane. Any Bull fans out there? Okay. All right.
University of South Florida Bulls.
What was that in the back?
USF Bulls.
Yeah, that's what I said. Listen, I am an equal opportunity offender on this front. But, you know, contractually I have to say, go Gators. But I have the distinct pleasure of serving in our nation's capital with Anna. And I get to see all of our colleagues, all of your Congress critters in action, whether it is public or whether it is behind closed doors. And the cool thing about Anna that I have learned over the last couple of years is she is no BS. What you see is what you get. And that is rare in Washington. Because what I have learned during my time in the swamp is that the swamp is very cozy for people who love the title. They love to say whatever they have to in order to keep that title. And they'll do anything for it. But then you have a small group of people that are willing to fight. People that are willing to stick their neck out there. And they don't care what the consequences are. They don't care about the threats that come from sometimes within their own party of, hey, you're going to miss out on this opportunity, or you won't get this committee assignment, or we're going to come after you in your primary. I tell you what, there are people who are wired to fight. And then there are people who are wired for flight. Anna, she is wired to fight.
Yeah.
I am telling you. And what's so cool is that when we started working together, it was all on the same things. We both believe that if you're a creep and a pervert, you shouldn't serve in Congress. It seems pretty easy. But when you got people with, like Eric Swalwell, terrible, worst kept secret in Washington. Everybody knew he was a creep. And yet, he managed to get on places like the Intel Committee, despite the fact that he was romantically involved with a Chinese spy. It's crazy. And very few people were willing to call it out. And even worse when it was on our own side, Tony Gonzalez. Was that a woo or a boo? Okay. I speak like Numerian, which is like a southern twist, so I couldn't pick that one up. But all right, that was a boo. Yes, Tony Gonzalez, also a creep. And that's the thing that I love about Anna, is she doesn't really care if you're a Republican or Democrat. If you're a creep, you're gone.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the way we have to be, because members of Congress should be held to a higher standard.
Yes.
Right? And so it doesn't matter whether you are Republican or Democrat, if you are behaving inappropriately, if you have gone to Congress to further your love life, then you have no business being there.
Yeah.
And so she and I are working on making sure that those creeps don't have a very long shelf life in Washington. In fact, we're making it so that they don't even have an opportunity to apply in the first place. I think that's a pretty worthwhile endeavor. There's something else that we agree on, her and I. How many of you think that members of Congress should be able to trade individual stocks? Seems like a no-brainer, right? And so when that bill came forward which it wouldn't have come forward had it not been for her continually pushing and pressing, and really, honestly, she was wearing the speaker out. She was. I saw that on the House floor. I would be standing there bugging him about, hey, we need to get background checks for these dang staffers. And then he would turn around and he'd go, oh, that dang cat. And then Anna would be standing right there. And she'd be like, sir, we need to get this insider trading bill passed immediately. He's like, oh, Anna, right? It was amazing. She wore him down. And it wouldn't have happened had it not been for her tireless efforts that just 2 weeks ago, we voted and passed a bill to stop insider trading in Congress. Guys, I can't tell you how lucky you are to have somebody who genuinely cares and is in the fight. That is rare. Because when we are in this room, we can talk a big game, but I've seen too many members of Congress who say things like this on stages just like this, in rooms just like this, and then they'll get behind closed doors and they'll say, I didn't really mean any of that. And they're all in it for themselves. That's not her. She's the real deal. And I know, as a new mom, looking at my 11-month-old daughter, that the only chance that she's got to have the same opportunities in the same constitutional republic that we have today, if she wants that same opportunity when she grows up, we're going to need fighters. And we have to drain the swamp.
Yes.
Right? And make no mistake about it, this election, this midterm, this is a very, very simple question. Are you wanting common sense, or do you want crazy? That's the question that we have to ask ourselves as Americans, as voters. Do we want common sense policies that are going to create more opportunity, more freedom, and put more money in our pockets, or do we want crazy, where big, oversized, overreaching government is taking less of those opportunities, creating more mandates, and robbing you of the money in your pocket? That is the choice that we have as we march into these midterms. And I think we're about 87 days away, give or take. Math was never my strong suit. All I know is the government spends way too much money, right? But think about that. A little less than 90 days, we are going to find out whether or not we can give President Trump another 2 years to continue draining the swamp, or we're going to spend the next 2 years fighting impeachments of both him and his entire cabinet, and then it will be government gone wild. Do you guys want to spend the next 2 years fighting these impeachment charges? I don't know who's in the back, but I couldn't understand that one. I like the energy, I'll give you that. We made a promise when we elected the president that we were going to forgive him 4 years to get the job done. And the only way we can do that is if we keep the House. And this seat is really a linchpin when we're talking about the margins in the House. You guys have an incredible opportunity to not only keep a fighter, but to keep the House when you elect Anna. That is what is on the line. So while you are in this room here today, doing the inconvenient thing of being here on a Saturday, when you could be doing any number of things, I want you to think about the inconvenience that we will face if we have a 2-year-long stint of craziness running the House, running the Senate. We can't allow that to happen, can we, folks?
No.
I'm telling you, we have a fight on our hands. But you guys have to get out there and get your family and your coworkers and your neighbors, and you have got to get them to the polls. It is historically tough in a midterm to get the turnout, but I know that you guys have the energy to do it. You wouldn't have sent a fighter like Anna to Congress if you didn't. And so I need you to make me a pinky promise, even though I'm a Gator, and there's a bunch of you Seminoles in this room. It could be worse, you could be Bulldogs. I want you to make me a pinky promise that when you go to the polls, you're not going to just bring yourself, but you're going to bring your family, and you're going to bring your friends, and you're going to make sure that every single one in your orbit is turning out. Do you promise? That was not enthusiastic. Do you promise? Do you promise? Okay, that was much better. Because remember, every single vote that you take with you to the polls, that is another vote to help us drain the swamp. And I know you guys are ready to drain the swamp, right?
Yeah!
There's nothing more important than getting this country back on track, putting America first, and making sure the swamp stays drained. We can do that, but we need your help. So, with that, I'm going to bring your next guest up to the stage. He is the GOP chairman of this fabulous, beautiful county here in Pinellas. And I am so proud. Wow! Woo! Look at you go, man! That's awesome. I almost feel like Paris. I'm like, oh, that's hot. That's cool. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to see you, to be with you this afternoon. Give it up for your chairman, Adam.
All right, I love my hand section over here. Senator Nick DeSigley, everybody, give him a round of applause. Let me do, Sam. So it's great to be here. I am your Pinellas GOP chair, Adam Ross. I also am your tax collector, and I'm honored to run your two favorite things in life, property taxes and the DMV. Give it a round of applause. We've got a lot of dignitaries here. The first one I want to acknowledge, we already saw him today, State Representative Bernie Jacques. We also have from our county commission, Christopher Lappow.
Yay, Christopher!
Also from the county commission, Kathleen Peters. Also county commission, Vince Nowicki. I'm disappointed because he didn't yell out, I love you, Adam, but that's okay. And county commissioner, Dave Eggers.
Yay,
We have a mayor from out in the Gulf Beaches, Anne Marie Brooks. We have a mayor from St. Pete Beach, Scott Tate.
Yay, Scott!
Look at that hair, all right, man. Love you, Adam. You're out. You're out there. Thanks, Scott. All right. From the city of Clearwater, we have both council members Mike Menino and Ryan Cotton. We also have from the city of Clearwater, our mayor, Bruce Rector. Now this guy, the tax collector, we're going to skip him. He's already up here. Our great Senator, Nick DeSigley.
Socialism! This is actually communism.
We also have State Representative Linda Cheney. I see we have a few candidates in the room. We have for City of St. Petersburg, Jim Large. We also have for the City of Clearwater, Sam Wilson. I'm going to give a little shout out. So we have 5 elected members in Clearwater. All 5 are currently Republicans. We have 2 seats up for election in 9 days. We have to win both. And Sam and Bianca Lappow, go out and vote if you live in Clearwater, all right?
Yeah, already done it.
All right, now I get to tell you to go out and vote. Who here has already voted? Raise your hand. All right. Who here has told their neighbor to go out and vote? Raise your hand. We're not even fully in here. All right, come on. We got to get the whole room involved. Who here is going to go vote? All right, there we go. There we go. The senator said it best. Is anybody else really scared that Democrats across the nation seem to be nominating Democratic socialists?
Yeah, a little weird.
They're really not. They're really communists, right?
Yeah.
Do we want to see that here in Florida?
No!
So does that mean you're going to go out and vote?
Yes!
Well, thank God for that. Make my job easier, okay? We have wonderful government here in Pinellas County, and we're going to keep it that way, yeah?
Yeah!
Thank God for that. I have the honor of we have a message. He was supposed to be here today. Congressman Tim Burchett. Anybody here listen to the Ruthless podcast?
Yeah.
All right, I love that. I watch it every week. He's on there all the time, so you'll probably recognize him if you do. He's a great conservative. He ran a true grassroots campaign in his district in Tennessee and came from behind out of nowhere, really, and won. And he has been a great ally of our Congresswoman, Paulina in Congress. He's doing great things. I think he's kind of funny too. He's got a great sense of humor. But enough with me. And now from Congressman Tim Burchett.
Hey everybody, everyone. Obviously, I'm not in sunny Florida. I'm in sunny Knoxville, and our flight. They don't cancel the that young flights. They delay them so they don't have to pay you back. But that gives me a great idea for some legislation, Luna, and I suspect you could help me with it. But there's no place I'd rather be right now than helping out my buddy Luna. She is the best. She's strong on the issues. She supports our president. She supports our young veterans. My gosh, what we got going on in this country. We got somebody running for Congress that said they want to use our beautiful American flag as a napkin. That same flag that men and women fought and died for, freed the slaves. My daddy fought, killed people for. My uncle, 48-star flag that was over his casket, got killed fighting the Nazis. That area is full of veterans and Luna, and I love them. Of course, she is a veteran. And she's got a beautiful little baby Henry, as I call him, and Andy, her husband. They're all my people, and I love them like family. And I'm so sorry I'm not down there with y'all. Dadgummit, if I thought I could load up one of my motorcycles and get down there in time, I'd get down there. I really was looking forward to this. And look, I got Big Brother watching me. Anyway, love you guys. Luna, I'm so sorry. Next time I see you, I'll buy you a chili dog, because it's on me. It's all on me, and I apologize. I really wanted to be there. I was so looking forward to being there. Luna's my girl. We all sit together on Center's Row. She really makes history. Y'all are so fortunate to have her. Anyway, I'll let you guys go. I know you got things to do, and I'm so disgusted that I'm not there with you. Thank you, brother. Anyway, thank y'all so much. God bless y'all. Please vote for my buddy Luna. This election's for all the marbles. We can lose our young country. Thank y'all. God bless y'all.
To get along, I am holding my party accountable. We know that members of Congress are using taxpayer dollars to pay off sexual harassment. We just had a member of Congress literally sexually harass a woman and then lit herself on fire, and you guys all protected her. We are catching people at the border that are on the terrorist watch list. They are trying to hurt Americans. It's not going to just hurt us here, it's going to hurt people in Mexico too. The American people want voter ID, and so it's unacceptable that we can't deliver on that, and so I'm going to be a royal pain in the butt to the Senate until it happens. I never thought I'd have to be debating liability protections for pesticide companies, yet here I am today. I understand that this place can get pretty heated sometimes, but I was also called a damn liar for defending my position, which is far from the truth. Voted recently on releasing a congressional slush fund to pay off victims of sexual harassment by members of Congress, and I think that it's really hard to take on institutions of power, especially when the corruption is coming from the top down. And we need better, younger people without this freak mentality to be running for office.
But it definitely makes you popular back home. So I just want to start out by saying thank you to Pastor Stansel, thank you to all the local elected officials that are here today, but more importantly, thank you to every single one of you that decided to show up today that understands what's on the line for our midterm elections. Now, to point at something that Pastor Stansel had said earlier, We have to have moral people. We have to root out the corruption that exists in the House of Representatives if we are to truly legislate on behalf of the American people. When I first got elected, I was told two things actually by a member of the Florida delegation, a very powerful member of the Florida delegation. He said, two things, Luna. You know, you could be an effective member, quote, effective member, or, you know, you can basically cause problems. He goes, the first two things are never vote against your party and never take down a rule. And a rule is this legislative, procedural thing that you have to do to allow the legislation to come to the floor. And within the first week of getting elected, you guys all know that I was one of the 20 that confronted Kevin McCarthy and said, you cannot consolidate power within the speaker. It belongs in the hands of the representatives. And I said no, and I broke those two rules, and since then I've been on the naughty list. So, I would argue more. But you know, going back to what we are up against, we have candidates around the country that are riding on the platform of Democrat socialism, and we'll get to that in a second. But these candidates, and I want to just be very clear, the Democrat and the Republican Party could not be more different. We have the Democrats nominating people that are lowering offenses for literal child molesters that received the Democrat nomination in California. We have Democrats that are running for office in places like New Jersey that were tied to 9/11. And we have Democrats that are getting elected to be the nominee in places like New York that are racist, that don't like white people, that want to use the American flag as a napkin. And we'll deal with them when they get into office, because they're going to. Unfortunately, these people are representing very blue areas, and these are what their voters are sending them to Washington to do. But what I will tell you is, from the get-go, from when I first got elected, I realized that if we are truly to legislate on behalf of the American people, we have to start with the corruption that does exist within the House of Representatives, which is why, as Kat Hammock pointed out, I am so happy one of my crowning achievements as a member of Congress has been to force the issue of banning insider trading for members of Congress. Me and Representative Burchett, who, by the way, he does owe me, so he'll be back down for the general election. But me and Representative Burchett were sitting on the steps of the House of Representatives, and we saw this website. It's called Unusual Whales, and it tracks the insider stock trades for members of Congress. You know, Nancy Pelosi making 17,000% returns on her stock portfolio investment, outperforming Warren Buffett, statistically not possible unless you're insider trading. Or even people on our own side, which it's guaranteed if you're trading individual stocks in Congress, you are going to get a 600% return on your investment, okay? People who sit on committees of jurisdiction that are then purchasing stocks, and they're saying, oh, well, we're not insider trading. Nonsense, you guys are, and we know you are. And me and Burchett were talking, and he said, you know, Luna, if we don't do anything to stop this, they're just going to continue to do it. So I went on X, just like any good millennial representative of Congress would do, and I put out an announcement that me and Representative Burchett were introducing legislation to ban members of Congress from insider trading, and our phones started lighting up. From leadership within our own party, okay? I won't tell you who, but what I will say is the first thing I got was, Luna, how could you do this? You're going to, listen to this, prevent members of Congress from sending their kids to college. And I audibly laughed and I said, wait, I'm sorry, do you have to make $20 million on stock trades to send your kid to college? Where are they going? There's so many questions. And then it came to Luna just parachuted in and she's doing this for attention. I said, guys, this is literally a 90-10 issue. You think I'm trying to ban insider trading for attention? Are you guys stupid?
Yes.
Yes, actually the answer would be yes. And then it came to, we had a national polling presentation from the president's pollster, who happens to be my pollster, very good guy, for Easy Lead. And it was a crowd of all of the Republicans in our conference. And they were talking about midterm messaging, all this, and I stood up and Tony looked at me and goes, I know what she's doing. And I started giggling. And I said, Tony, can you please share with the delegation what the polling says about insider trading? And you could hear an audible murmur. It's like Luna up to her shenanigans again. And Tony said, well, Rep. Luna, I'm so glad that you answered this question. This is a very popular issue. It's a popular issue because members of Congress should not be personally enriching themselves and using their platform to do that. It's wrong. Why are we tolerating it? So, right before before we left on recess, for the first time, we got a bill on the floor, which is now in the Senate and has been now introduced by Ashley Moody in the Senate, which means they're going to vote on it, to prevent members of Congress for insider trading. And it also includes a little thing called voter ID, which we also like. But that did not come without a price. Less than a week after I forced that vote with Tim Burchett, someone called the CFTC and made an anonymous tip that me, someone who doesn't own stocks, someone who doesn't own betting markets or have ever played in a betting market, was insider trading. Nancy Pelosi is not insider trading, but Luna, the one championing of 435 members, she's the one insider trading. Anyways, the Department of Justice fully exonerated me, but not before the Tampa Bay Times and the Wall Street Journal tried to make it seem like I was insider trading, which I wasn't, so I sent cease and desist, and if they don't retract, I'm going to sue, and that's just the name of the game. Woo! And as Pat Hammock pointed out, less than a few months ago, we had 3 members of Congress seeking re-election, and I'll get into another member of Congress seeking re-election here in Florida. But these 3 members of Congress seeking re-election, one was Eric Swalwell, one was Tony Gonzalez. By the way, Eric Swalwell under investigation for sexual harassment of staff and also campaign finance issues, purchasing workers, if you know what I mean, at hotels paid for by campaign funds. Tony Gonzalez having an affair with his staffer, and after he wouldn't leave his wife, his staffer had a mental break and lit herself on fire and killed herself. And Shifless McCormick, a representative from Florida that stole $5 million in FEMA funds. And House Ethics did not want to do anything about it. And so I said, fine, I know the rules. I've read the rule manual multiple times. They don't like that, but I know how to play the game. So if they won't resign, then I'll force expulsion, and I'll put all 435 members on the board in a midterm cycle to see if you will go back to your voters and tell them why you protected corrupt members of Congress who have no business being in the House of Representatives. And you know what? Within a week, they all resigned. That is how you get things done. You don't wait for permission. You don't ask for permission. You do it. It's the right thing to do. Woo! Now here in Florida, I'm doing the same thing. As you guys all know, I support Ryan Elijah. He's against an incumbent who's under investigation by the Department of Justice, who's under investigation for ethics issues. I refuse to stand by and allow the great people of Florida to be represented by crooks who have no business serving in the House of Representatives, and I won't stop, because when I got elected, I promised every single one of you that I would help drain the swamp, and sometimes that means draining our own party. Woo! Now on the issue of Pinellas and affordability. Look, when I first got elected, the #1 issue was beach renourishment. They said, Luna, we've had multiple members of Congress, both Democrat, Republican, and we've always had issues with the Army Corps. And recently, I met with the Army Corps Secretary, and he actually permanently resolved the issue of beach renourishment for Pinellas County, and thank you to everyone here that helped with it, so that we never have to deal with that issue again. And it didn't just affect us here, it actually affected other parts of Florida, to include the Panhandle that had this issue in the past. And what I will say is, under the Biden administration, because we are a red state, because we're a red county, unfortunately, it was political. But this administration is not going to play that game, because they understand what happens if our beaches are not safe and secure, and how we can be impacted by something called hurricanes. And so we permanently resolved that issue. I was also one of the first members of Congress to be able to introduce a legislation that would prohibit corporations from purchasing single-family homes. Thank you. And on that front, I will say the Senate had a version of it. There was a lot of nonsense in the Senate's version. But our version is something that is truly representative of the people. We have young people, and I don't know if anyone's in the housing market right now. I am. I'm trying to move up to the northern part of the county right now. But the fact is that you should not have these corporations, which, by the way, have a lot of interesting investors, purchasing up these homes, bidding out people like Sam, bidding out people, young families that are looking to start their lives. It's not fair. And so I believe that we are the check and balance to ensure that, yes, I like capitalism, but guess what? We can also rein it in when it's going a little bit too far. Thank you. Thank you, Mona. I was also one of the few Republican, I mean literally probably like 2 or 3, that introduced the legislation to codify President Trump's executive order on capping prescription prices. Thank you. But do you know why? It's because I don't take pharma money. Because I can do what's right and I can represent people because I'm not controlled by that special interest. Thank you. And it didn't just stop there. I worked on issues of capping credit card interest at 2% and even forcing a bill that would cap student loan interest at 2% because we regulate those percentages. But you know what's interesting? You know, you talk about some of these things. President Trump has been actually very good on the issue of affordability. But Democrats typically had championed that perspective. But do you know why they're not supporting this legislation right here and now? It's because they understand that this is bad for their party if Republicans get a win. Think about that. They are literally putting their power before people. That is not true representation. And that is why we will continue to fight, and it's good that we have the administration, but if it were up to these people, a lot of people in Washington they're attracted to it because of the power position, because of the title, because of the perks that come with the job. That's wrong, and that's not what a representative is. On the issue of healthcare, I will tell you there was a great bill, is what they called it. It was for veteran benefits that came to the floor a couple weeks ago. And this bill had a lot of good things for vets. It would increase combat ratings, which I support. However, it would also prohibit veterans in the future from filing for example, on tinnitus and sleep apnea. Just real quick, who are veterans here in the audience? Please raise your hand. Okay, first of all, stand up. We're gonna stand up. Thank you for your service. Thank you. And they said, well, Luna, we need a paid for. A paid for means how are we gonna fund it? Well, I'm sorry, you guys send millions and millions of dollars in foreign aid. What do you mean where there's a paid for? You spend millions and millions of dollars to a Pentagon that can't pass an audit. There's your paid for. If you even gave 1% or 0.1% of the defense spending budget to veterans, this would be a non-issue. And they said, well, we need your vote. Well, you don't have my vote because I'm not going to cut those benefits. And you know what? It was me and one other person that voted to kill the bill and they pulled it. And this September, it will come back to the floor fixed without cutting veteran benefits, will increase ratings, and it will have the solution that we need because sometimes it only takes a few good ones to stop a lot of bad and hold our party accountable to what's true north. But in one of the other big accomplishments for this cycle, what I will say is the party, love it to death, but they tried to stick this thing in one of our ag bills. It was going to shield pesticide manufacturers from being held liable for lawsuits for causing cancer. Okay? Do you guys know what Agent Orange is? Okay. Do you know who the original manufacturer of Agent Orange was? Monsanto. Okay? They were lobbying members of Congress. And I know because when people accuse you of something, especially in politics, it's usually because they're guilty of doing exactly that. Yep. I read this piece of legislation, it was about a paragraph. And it would prohibit local governments, it would prohibit state governments, and it would prohibit you, the individual, from either further labeling product that causes cancer, i.e. glyphosate stuff, or it would prevent you outright from being able to sue if you or your child gets cancer. And they said, Luna, you're getting paid to do, I'm not even kidding. They said, you're getting paid to do this. You're doing this for attention. You hear that? You're doing it for attention. They constantly tell me that. You mean I'm standing up for people's rights to not get sick? You mean I'm not going to vote because I do believe in a heaven and hell? I'm not going to sell out my people, the American people, for $11,000 to my campaign? Thank you. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, they say, fine, we'll let you debate this amendment. And I didn't honestly know. I was talking to other Republicans. I had no idea how many Republicans would be with me on this issue. But you know who was with me? Maha. Do you know who was with me? Secretary Kennedy. Thank you. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, I go to the House floor. And it's me with the parliamentarians and about maybe 10 other members of Congress. And so I came with my receipts, because you always have to have your receipts in politics, which was these people's donation history. And I'm going to debate this. And I'm on the floor and they start, getting really nasty with me, saying certain things, and you can pull up the debate if you want to see it later, it's on YouTube. But at the end of my speech, I said, I've been accused of being a liar. I've been told I'm being paid to protect kids, which is crazy. I would do it for free. But the fact is that I take no money from pesticide manufacturers. And the people talking right now, the guy debating me right now, has taken over $200,000 from pesticide manufacturers. And I won that amendment. 78 Republicans voted with me, but to this day, because I forced that, they said that I was a problem. That is the perspective of the establishment in Washington, D.C. I am not the problem, I am the solution, and I won't stop. Although I don't think Bear Monsanto will be supporting me anytime soon. Full disclosure. But the reality is, we see that our party, we need fighters. We need to continue this movement, and we have to help others get elected. And what I will end with is saying this. When I first started out as an activist with Turning Point USA, you know my story. You know that I worked with Charlie. Charlie actually was brilliant in his coined phrase, socialism sucks. It was. That was like Turning Point's initial motto. It was on stickers. It was on t-shirts. That's what he went with when we would go to these college campuses to debate. That is what he rolled with. But I remember being with him, he goes, Anna, look, these young kids, they're being, you have these very liberal professors, they're on college campuses, and people seem to think that socialism has failed everywhere else in the world, but somehow it'll be different here. That's, honest to God, this is what these people are arguing when we're debating. Well, we're seeing right now that Charlie, even though he's no longer with us, Turning Point and his initial vision in fighting this is true. And when I first started out in my run for Congress, do you guys remember my slogan? Pro-life, pro-God, pro-gun, anti-socialist. That has not changed. That has not changed. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the platform that is really taking over the Democrat Party. They don't want you to have guns. They're for massive gun control. They want to police your speech. They are socialists. And they are blaming a race for their problems. To be clear, we are hearing anti-white rhetoric out of Democrat socialists, which is ironic because a majority of their supporters are white liberals. Ironic how that works. But at the end of the day, if you are blaming a race for your problems, that doesn't make you brilliant. It makes you racist and stupid. And that is exactly what they are. And side note, with those tenets that they believe, do you know who else had those same beliefs? I'll give you a hint.
Stalin, Mao.
World War II. Ring a bell? That is exactly who these people are, but it's multifaceted. They're running on this platform, they're trying to convince young Americans, specifically on these issues, that socialism is a solution, but it's not. It's a quick way to fail. And what I will tell you is what we have uncovered is that there's a massive foreign influence funded campaign coming from the Communist Chinese Party, using bot farms, paying influencers, paying pundits on TV and on social media to parrot a message that is dividing this country on both sides. I sent 2 years ago a DOJ referral for an individual by the name of Neville Horace Singham. Singham is a communist. He's getting his money directly from the CCP, and he works alongside George Soros, who's a globalist. And that guy is more like, I'd say, Darth Maul. He just won't go away. Eventually, we know what happens at the end of Star Wars. We win, but still, it's a hell of a fight. Sorry, Pastor. So recently, I introduced legislation, and we have actually co-sponsors on it, Democrat and Republican, because the entire congressional institution understands how big of a problem China has become and how deep this goes. That would prohibit any influencer from taking money from any foreign government. If you're going to lobby on behalf of a foreign government, you must disclose it. So I might not always toe party line, and I might stand up, but I stand up when it's the right thing to do. And I don't play to lose. In fact, I rarely ever lose. And what I will say is, going into this election cycle, it's kind of funny, you know, we had this big event today. The liberal press won't cover it, but we will. I have David over here getting a lot of good B-roll. You know, we have local press that tries to support my opponent saying Florida 13's in play. Well, guess what? I got my polling back, and I know there's probably a play in your recording, so you can record this before I drop it to media on Monday morning. I'm 8 points ahead, baby. I ain't gonna lose. But that means I need every single one of you to show up this November. And although I'm not on the ballot on the 18th, because I'm in an uncontested primary, I also need you, thank you. I also need you guys to show up for our local Republican officials. Show up, don't sit it out. Show up and get involved, because as you saw, we have some friends outside protesting. I think I might offer them some cookies and water later. I know they were calling us the devil, but boy oh boy, are they misinformed. But look, we have people that genuinely think that's a solution to the problems in this country, and it's quite the opposite. So thank you for your support. God bless you all. God bless Pinellas County, the great state of Florida, and